So this poll is a nationally representative snapshot of more than 1,100 parents across the country who have a child aged 5 or under who's in childcare. And what I mean by childcare is any kind of care from someone other than a parent that is regular. So that could be another relative, it could be a nanny or a babysitter, it could be an in-home child care center, or it could be a preschool. We tried to capture the full spectrum of experiences from parents so we could give voice to their day-to-day experiences, both in terms of the challenges of finding affordable, high-quality childcare, and also the benefits that that brings to them. So let me share with you a couple of the key findings from that poll, and I'm going to start with a couple of slides. And start off with the first of those 3 topics, which relates to quality. And I'm going to start by saying that the results of the poll really show there may be a gap between what parents see in terms of the quality of their childcare and what expert assessments have been about the state of childcare in the United States today. So here I'm going to show you some data from the poll, tell you what parents are saying, and in this particular question, we asked parents to rate the quality of the childcare that their child receives. And we said, tell us what it's like from excellent to poor. And what we see is that a majority, a full 59%, say excellent. That's the highest rating that can be. Now, we asked them about other particular features of childcare that might contribute to quality. We asked about things like safety, the experience and training of the providers, preparation for later schooling, physical education, and again, large shares of parents are saying excellent. Now, this is a pretty rosy picture and may seem like good news at first, but when we contrast this finding with the other kinds of reports about the state of childcare, we see there may be a gap, that parents are rating this as very high quality, but some of the expert assessments would suggest that, in fact, the state of childcare today is not high quality. So, for example, one of the seminal reports from the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development suggests that the vast majority of childcare is more in the sort of fair realm.
Something on the order of about how much?
Sort of the vast majority.
Vast majority.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of in contrast to what we see in this poll.
Mm-hmm.
So, this suggests that there may be a disconnect between what parents see, and they may not have all the information. They may not know all the different aspects that an expert would have. And they may benefit from some of that information. So we've talked about the first of your 3, quality. Okay, so now let's go to cost. And here what we see is another highlight from the poll where you can see that parents are really feeling the cost pinch. So in this slide, we show the parents who are paying a fee for childcare. We said, for which of you does the cost of childcare present a financial problem for your family? And we see that a third, about 31%, say that it presents a problem for them. That's a pretty large share, but what makes it more poignant is when we actually focused on people who said their financial situation was already strained, that it was not really as strong, that now we have a majority, 61%, saying that it's presenting a financial challenge for them. That's a really large percentage. So, third point, we've now talked about quality and cost. Let's talk about access. So what we see in, to the next slide, is that a majority of parents say that they face limited childcare options. They may have only a few or just even one realistic option for care. Again, we begin to see in this part of the findings that these 3 issues are really interrelated. That is that, again, these share of parents who are feeling more financial strain, they're also the ones who are more likely to say that they don't have as many options. So these 3 factors are kind of coming together.
And when it says people only have one option, typically that would be what? Do we know?
We don't know necessarily what it is, but the point is that for them, they have this very limited resource, and they need it. And I think that's a great segue into the kind of final point that I'll share from the poll, which is that the child care is actually incredibly important for parents, and it provides them great benefit. Now, we just said that they say that the quality of their child care is excellent, so probably not surprising that they think it benefits their child. What may not be as obvious from the beginning is that it actually benefits them as well.
And we
so
have
let's
another
turn to the next slide.
Right.
Last one. So parents believe that the child care is good for their families on an array of characteristics. And it's not just their job, although we see that more than 40% say it is a benefit for their job. It's not just their job. It's also their overall well-being, and perhaps most importantly, their relationship with their child. So this is kind of a dimension that maybe not is talked about as much from the perspective of childcare.
Right.
So pulling this together, we see that cost, quality, and access are key issues. They may not be where they need to be today, and yet this is a resource that is so critical for families.